Donald Trump's former national security advisor turned sharp critic, John Bolton, heads to federal court this week for a hearing that could determine the future of his criminal trial. And I'm going to head to court too to make sure that the news, as soon as it breaks, heads out directly to you if you're a subscriber to All Rise News at www.allrisenews.com, or if you're a viewer of Legal AF, take a moment to subscribe to both so you don't miss a beat. Now, the hearing that's coming up ahead is what's known as an initial status conference. It's where we learn about the road to trial. What is the schedule going to look like? Maybe a trial date. And what motions is the defense likely to bring? When will that be adjudicated? What could be the legal fault lines? We don't know exactly what will happen, but we know that it could be determinative of the road ahead. For folks who haven't been following Bolton's case very closely, Bolton, of course, stands accused of violating the Espionage Act. It doesn't mean spying, but it's the same statute that Donald Trump was charged with in the classified documents case over the more than dozen boxes of highly classified documents that the FBI found at Mar-a-Lago when that case was active. Trump was accused of violating that statute. And unlike Trump's case, John Bolton isn't accused of obstructing that investigation. He's not accused of unlawfully retaining or disclosing classified documents per se. What prosecutors say that he did is allegedly kept notes containing national defense information, including classified information, that he sent allegedly over private email servers and private messaging applications to his wife and daughter while taking notes for a book. The prosecutors called them diary-like entries for what was going to be his memoir, The Room Where It Happened. And that book was ultimately published. It caused a bit of controversy at the first, when it was first published, when the Trump administration tried to block its publication over a lack of clearance that they alleged. And John Bolton at the time was sharply criticized by a federal judge over the contents of that book. But it should be noted that this particular criminal case isn't about what was published in the book. It's about the notes in that book that hit the cutting room floor, that were sent over a private email server, and that prosecutors say that that email account was compromised when the Iranian government hackers breached it, and Bolton reported that breach to the FBI. Now, it's one of the many ironies of this case is that one of the sharpest critics of Hillary Clinton and her use of private emails before the 2016 presidential election, when that became a major issue, was John Bolton. Here's John Bolton talking to CNN in 2017 about that controversy.
Look, as I've said before, I believe it still to this day. If I had done at the State Department what Hillary Clinton did, I'd be wearing an orange jumpsuit now.
And of course, in that clip, you hear John Bolton saying that he would be in an orange jumpsuit if he used a private email server that recklessly. And that is, of course, the heart of this case. He's also accused of using a private non-governmental messaging application to send these notes, these diary entries. And Bolton was also a very sharp critic of Signalgate, which, of course, was Pete Hegseth and a great deal of people in Trump's cabinet texting among themselves and journalist Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic about imminent attack plans. And that the journalist Jeffrey Goldberg was part of that Signal group chat. Here's a clip of Bolton criticizing that.
It really shows a terrible lack of judgment. Communicating with the people in this group in particular who have absolutely no need to know about any upcoming U.S. military operation leads me to wonder what he's doing on the job on a minute-to-minute, hour-by-hour basis, that he's got time to knock out Signal messages to friends and family, which is what this group is. I mean, I think Hegseth has sadly proved himself to be a lightweight.
Now, ironies aside, one of the central features of this case, and it's the feature that everyone's talking about, is that John Bolton is a sharp critic of Donald Trump. And John Bolton says he's being politically prosecuted, that he's being targeted by Trump for his criticism. He is represented by Abbe Lowell, and Abbe Lowell also represents New York Attorney General Letitia James, who is being prosecuted by Trump's former lawyer turned first-time rookie prosecutor Lindsay Halligan in a case that Trump openly demanded. But it's important to note at the outset that there are important differences between the two cases. First and foremost, John Bolton is being prosecuted by career prosecutors in the District of Maryland. And there were no resignations, there were no purges that preceded his indictment. The investigation at the heart of this case began in a prior administration. John Bolton, of course, has pleaded not guilty and is presumed innocent until proven guilty at a trial, and his case is just beginning. And his lawyer, Abbe Lowell, has dedicated himself in Trump's second term to defending people like John Bolton, Letitia James, and we'll see what arguments Abbe Lowell brings to court. But there's a key difference right there, which could determine the future of defense strategy in this case. It's also worth noting that this case, as I said a little bit earlier, though it involves Bolton's memoir, The Room Where It Happened, and is a book where he sharply criticized Trump's government and Trump himself, saying that Trump tried to throw out a criminal case against a Turkish state-run bank as a favor to Turkish strongman Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who he described as one of the dictators Trump likes. That even though this book features prominently in this case, it's not a case about that book. This is a passage from Bolton's indictment. Quote, "None of the classified national defense information charged in counts 1 through 18 was published in Bolton's book." This is about the outtakes, and we will find out a lot more about what this case may be about on Friday. Here's what I'm looking for when I go to federal court on Friday for this initial status conference. First, I'm going to be looking at any clues about the schedule. Will a trial date be announced? How long is this all going to take? What defense motions will likely be brought by Bolton's team? Will he argue selective and vindictive prosecution? Now, if he does, that could be a little bit more challenging than the case of Comey and Letitia James, because in the case of Comey and Letitia James, they have, of course, Trump's public posting on Truth Social in what was supposed to be, apparently, a private message to Pam Bondi about who he wanted targeted for prosecution. I'm going to put that on the screen right now. Here's the post, and he mentions in that post Letitia James, misspells her name, James Comey, and he also mentions California Senator Adam Schiff, who was a key senator who got Trump impeached during the first. At the time, he was he was a member of the House of Representatives and was one of the impeachment prosecutors that got Trump impeached. But there is nothing in that post about John Bolton, and so the direct evidence could make that more challenging. We'll find out more about the defense strategy at and maybe even before these hearings. But I'll be on the ground when it happens. I'll be, as Bolton had it, the room where it happens. And to do that requires the support of subscribers. So if you haven't had the opportunity to do so yet, visit www.allrisenews.com. That's www.allrisenews.com. Your paid subscriptions send me across the country to cover these proceedings, live, on the ground, in person, where you get the courtroom scene, the courtroom flavor. Some of you might have even watched my recent discussion with Michael Popak from the ground in Alexandria, Virginia, in the case of James Comey. it's the support of All Rise News subscribers that allow that to happen. Be sure to subscribe for free on the Legal AF channel on YouTube as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later this week.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.